All right, here we are. After journeying through 17 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, we've finally made it to the grand finale, chapter 18. This is it. This is where all the threads, all the concepts we've talked about really come together. Krishna is about to give his final, most complete teaching on what is, let's be honest, the biggest question of all. How in the world do we live and act without getting completely tangled up by it all? So let's dive into Krishna's ultimate masterclass on the art of action.
Okay, so let's set the scene. We're right back on the battlefield, and Arjuna, this incredible warrior, well, he's still confused. Can you blame him? After everything he's heard, he boils it all down to two key ideas that, at first glance, seem pretty similar. Renunciation, which is sannyasa, and abandonment, or tyaga. He's like, Krishna, I need to know the real difference between these two. And believe it or not, this one question is what kicks off the entire final chapter. It's the launch pad for everything that follows.
So Krishna's like, okay, let's break this down. He starts with the first one, sannyasa. He explains that the wise see sannyasa as basically resigning from any action that's purely driven by your own selfish desires. You know what I mean? Like, think about working late only because you want that bonus. Or, being super nice to someone just because you're hoping they'll do you a favor. That's the kind of action sannyasa is about letting go of. It's about dropping the what's in it for me motivation.
Okay, now for the second term, tyaga. And this one is a little trickier, a lot more subtle, and honestly, it's really at the heart of the Gita's whole message. Krishna says tyaga is about giving up the fruits, the results, the outcomes of all your actions. Now, this is super important. This does not mean you just stop doing things and sit on the couch. Not at all. It means you do what you have to do, you perform your duties with your whole heart, but you completely release your grip on the outcome. The results, whether they're good or bad, you just offer them up.
So here's the bottom line, the big difference. Sannyasa is about not doing certain actions, the selfishly motivated ones. Tyaga, though, is an attitude. It's a mindset you bring to literally every action. It's that inner shift where you let go of the need for a specific result. You detach from the praise, the blame, the success, the failure. You can probably see where this is going, right? Krishna is basically pointing Arjuna, and all of us, towards tyaga. He's saying this is the more powerful, more practical way to navigate life.
But wait, it gets even deeper. Krishna's like, hold on, even the way you give something up matters. He introduces this amazing framework of 3 qualities. So check this out. If you give up your duties just because you're confused or deluded, that's called Tamasic. Or if you quit because you're afraid of the hard work or the potential pain, that's Rajasik. And in both of those cases, you don't really get any spiritual benefit. The only true abandonment, the one he calls Sattvik, is when you do your duty with everything you've got, but you are truly, genuinely unattached to the result. That's the sweet spot. And this whole framework, these 3 qualities, Sattvik, Rajasik, and Tamasic, it turns out it's not just about how you abandon things. Krishna basically reveals that this is a universal lens you can use to look at, well, everything. It applies to the kind of knowledge you have, the actions you take, and maybe most importantly, it applies to you, the actor, the doer. So you see, it's not just about what you do, it's about the whole inner vibe, the state of being you're doing it from. So let's see what that actually looks like.
First up, we've got the ideal, right? This is the Sattvik doer, the balanced actor. Picture this, someone who is completely engaged, they're enthusiastic, they're committed to what they're doing. But, and this is the absolute key, they are totally free from attachment and ego. They do amazing work just for the sake of doing it well, but their inner calm doesn't get rattled whether they succeed or fail. Their joy comes from the act itself, not from winning the prize at the end.
Next, we have the Rajasik doer. And let's be real, this is probably where a lot of us find ourselves a lot of the time. This is the passionate, super results-driven person. Their whole motivation is the fruit of the action, getting the promotion, the praise, the win. And because of that, their emotional life is just a total roller coaster, right? They're ecstatic when things go well, and they're crushed when they don't. Their happiness is completely chained to the outcome. Sound familiar?
And finally, we have the Tamasic doer, the deluded actor. This state is really defined by inaction, by confusion, by negativity. Think of someone who's just stuck. They're lazy, they're stubborn, they put everything off. And when they finally do act, it's often without any real thought or planning, and it kind of just makes things worse. It's that feeling of being in a fog, just completely unable to act with any real purpose.
So this brings up a huge question, right? If we're supposed to act, but without being attached to the results, then what the heck are we supposed to do? Krishna's answer is this absolutely beautiful concept called swadharma. Swa means own, and dharma means duty or path. So it's your own path. It's the set of duties that springs from your own unique nature, your own talents, your own disposition. It's all about finding the work and the role in this life that is authentically 100% yours.
And this idea of swadharma leads to what might be some of Krishna's most radical advice in the entire Gita. He says, get this, it is better to do your own duty, even imperfectly, than to do someone else's duty perfectly. Just let that sink in for a second. This is an all-out assault on the whole game of comparison and trying to be like someone else. The message is crystal clear. The world doesn't need another perfect imitation of somebody else. It needs the real, authentic, even imperfect version of you.
I mean, the takeaway for us today is just massive, isn't it? We live in this world of social media where it looks like everyone else has it all figured out. Their lives look perfect. And this ancient wisdom is shouting at us to stop looking out there and to turn our attention inward. Find your path, your swadharma, your unique thing to contribute, and then just commit to it. So what if it's messy? So what if it's not perfect? It's your path, and that's where the real joy, the real fulfillment is actually found.
So Krishna doesn't just leave us with the theory. He gives us the practical steps, the how-to for getting to the state of real freedom. It's all about inner work, a kind of spiritual housekeeping. First, you've got to purify your intellect. Really get clear on what's what. Then, you learn to control your mind with some firmness, not let it run all over the place. Next, you work on abandoning those powerful pulls of I love this and I hate that. And finally, you release that iron grip of ego, of pride, of thinking this is mine. This is the internal work you gotta do for true tyaga.
And then, it all comes to a head. It builds to this one verse, maybe one of the most famous and powerful in the entire Gita. After explaining everything, all the details about action, duty, letting go, Krishna gives the final, ultimate key. He basically says, look, after all this said and done, abandon all these other paths and just take refuge in me. Surrender completely. He promises that this single act of ultimate trust, of just letting go, is what will finally liberate you from every sin, every struggle. Do not grieve, he says. It's an incredible promise.
So, as we wrap up this journey through the Gita's final chapter, we're left with a really practical challenge. Because, as we've seen, this isn't about running away from the world. It's about changing how we relate to our actions in the world. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. What is just one fruit of your action, just one outcome that you're clinging to, that you could practice letting go of just for today? Maybe it's the need for praise, or a very specific result on a project at work, or just getting recognized by someone. What's one thing you could do with all your heart and then just let the result be what it will be?